after source qualifier, add filter transformation with condition false. That means, so we have a mapping here. Okay, what this mapping is doing, it is extracting a data from a table and loading a data to the table. So this was my actual mapping, right? What I'll do, again I'll create one test mapping here. So in this test mapping, again I won't change the flat file, so I will keep it as it is. That so I'll take whatever was there in the existing mapping. So in my test mapping also I will have the same thing. Okay, even in my test mapping it is extracting the data from a table and loading to the table only. But in between the, so as of what I will do, one change what I will do is post my source qualifier just after my source qualifier. If there are any transformations also after the source qualifier, before any other transformations, just after my source qualifier, I'll create one filter transformation. Okay, I'll move all the ports from my source qualifier to this, and from my filter to the next level of the pipeline. In my case, it is a target. If it is other mappings, there might be other transformations. And in my filter transformation, I will give the condition as false. When I say false, what happens? None of the records from this filter transformation will move to the next level of my pipeline. Okay, so in my actual mapping, data will be extracted from the table, then it will go some transformations. If there are any transformations, then it will load to the target. And in my test mapping, what happens? Data will be extracted from the source. That's it. It will go to the filter transformation. That's it. From filter transformation, none of the records will be moved to the next level of my pipeline. That is because I have given the filter condition as false. It will filter out all the records and it won't pass any records to the next level of the pipeline. Then with this change, I will run both of my workflows again. Okay, I will run my test workflow also and my actual workflow also, and I will check the time. That is, so after source qualifier, add a filter transformation with condition as false. Okay. Then what happens? If I mark it as a condition as false, in my test mapping, none of the records will be moving to the next level of my pipeline. They will all be filtered at my filter transformation only. Then what I can check? If workflow runs for the same time, so if both the workflows run for the same time, that means then there is a bottleneck at the source. If both the workflows run for the same time, then we can say there is a bottleneck at the source. Why? What was my first workflow? This one. It was assume this mapping. It is extracting the data from the table, loading to and also loading to a target. It was taking 10 minutes. Now, even my test mapping, which just extracts the data from the source, and it is not even loading to the target because filter condition is false. Even this mapping is taking 10 minutes. If both the mappings are taking same time or the time difference is very minute, okay, then we can say yes, it is taking a lot of time while extracting the data only. While extracting the data from the source itself, it is taking a lot of time, right? So in with such testing, I can say yes, there is a bottleneck at the source level. Okay. So what I have to do? I have to add a filter transformation with condition as false just after the source qualifier, and in my test, this I have to do it in my through test session. You need not to touch your actual coding mapping, so you can just create a copy of that mapping and do all this testing. Okay, and here if workflow runs for the same time, then I can say there is a bottleneck at the source. Then what will be the solution? If there is a bottleneck at the source, what I can do? So if the source is a table, I can go and create indexes on the source table. So always, if we have indexes on the source table, it will help, it will improve the performance for the select query, right? So I can go and create the sources, indexes on the source table on columns which are used in where clause and joins. That is, these indexes I can create at the database level. That is one option. Second is, check whether we have used necessary filters and join condition in source qualifier query. Again, this is very important. So if my requirement was like, I have employee table here, okay, and I have a target table. So if my requirement is to load only in this employee table, I have employees with department 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on. If my requirement is to load only the employees with department 10, then while extracting the data from the table itself, I can write a filter query to get only the employees with department 10. And only those records will be extracted into my Informatica. There on those records, I will apply the transformation. I need not to extract all these records. If I don't apply this select filter condition, then it will extract all the unwanted data also, and time will be wasted in extracting that unwanted record. So check whether we have used necessary filters and also the join conditions. Based on join conditions also, we can filter out some unwanted data records, right? So in the source qualifier query, that is the best thing. If it is a table, if the source is table, I can use the filter queries and joins on the in the source qualifier. In case if it is a flat file, as soon as the source qualifier, I can use a filter and I can remove the unwanted records which I don't want in further in my uh, mapping further. Okay, I can use a filter transformation if the source is a flat file. That is one thing. Then the last one more approach can be, I can use the ints in the source qualifier queries. Wherever I am using a source qualifier, in my source qualifier, I can use some SQL ints also. So, but this approach is not much recommended. So, not only in Informatica, in real time, if you have if you want to tune some SQL queries, using ints to tune the queries is not recommended unless until you have a thorough knowledge on the data on which you are working. Okay. So what happens is, if you are using a hint, so assume you are working on an employee table, and you know, if you are very much aware that this employee table won't change or in future and all, then you can go with the hints to improve the performance of the query. But if you are not aware of the table data, it is not recommended to use the ints. Why? Because these ints at that particular time it might improve the performance, then in future it might degrade the performance also. So if the table is having 100 records, for these 100 records, the whatever hints you have used in SQL might be uh, good in performance. But in future, when the records increases, if it becomes 1000, the same int might degrade the performance also. Okay, that's why it is always not recommended to use the hints for performance tuning of the queries until unless you have a full knowledge on the data. If you know the data won't change in future and all, then you can use those hints and do the tuning there. Okay, this is what these are the solutions which can be used to remove the bottlenecks at the source in case if there is a bottleneck at the source. Then, so as I told, we had three threads: reader thread, writer thread, transformation thread. So we saw if there is a reader thread, that is nothing but the source. If we have bottleneck, what we have to do? Writer thread, that is target, what we have to do. Next is transformation. Check if there is a bottleneck at transformations. So if there is no bottleneck at the target and source, then obviously we have performance issue or bottlenecks at the transformation. So what all things we can do to improve the performance at the transformations level is, for few transformations we can do the performance tuning. That is, for first Aggregator, we have to use the sorted input. Always, whenever you are using aggregator, you have to use the sorted input only. Then only it will improve the performance. In some cases, you can go for incremental aggregation also. I think we have discussed all these two already. So what happens why we have to go with the sorted input? If I have records with the department number 10, 20, 30, so these are the records which are coming from the source table. Okay, I have an aggregator here. So if I have not sorted the data on department number and use the sorted aggregator transformation, it won't do the aggregation until unless it gets all the records from the all the records for all the departments. If I have used a sorter, if I have used a sorter in between the aggregator, what happens when I use a sorter? How these records will be sorted? It will be like 10, 20, 30, 40. Department employees with department number 10, all the employees with department number 10, then all the employees with department 20, 30, and 40 will be there. So what happens when aggregator get all the employees with department 10, it performs that group by function. It performs the aggregation. It won't wait for other employees with other departments. So as and when it gets that particular group of data, it will perform the aggregation. That's how it will improve the what performance. Okay, incremental aggregation, again it will save the previous aggregation whatever it has done. Okay, in that case, if I say I should not be sending the same records again. Okay, it will save the previous aggregation whatever I have done, and based on that aggregation it will sum up the for the new records it will sum up with the previous aggregation data. That is the incremental aggregation. So whenever you go for an aggregator transformation, keep in mind you have to pass the sorted input only. So that will really improve the performance. Hello?
Sandesh,
Okay. Yeah.
your voice is not a bit clear for me.
Hello.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Okay. Okay. So whenever you use aggregator transformation, go with the sorted input. Again for the joiner, same case. You have to use the sorted input only. Okay. Second, so reason being the same. So once it gets that group of records, it will perform the join. It won't wait for all the other group records to come to that join transformation. Okay. You just create some join transformations without sorted input passing to the joiner transformation, then add the sorter and run it again. You can really see the difference. Okay. And second thing what you can do is mark source. In the joiner what we have two types. It can be a detailed source and it can be a master source. Always mark source with less data as master. Why? Because cache file will be created for master source whenever. So in joiner we can there can be only two sources, right? One can be treated as a master source and one can be treated as a detailed source. So it's always good to mark. I can mark any of the source as master, any of the source as detailed, but best practice for performance is mark the source with less data as master, because for master's source it will always create a cache file. That's the reason we have to make a source with less record as master. Again, that will improve the performance. Then lookup. I can use the lookup override to get only relevant records for lookup as it creates cache. So we know that lookup transformation creates caches. Either it can be a static cache or a dynamic cache. So it creates a cache. So in my lookup transformation itself, where is my lookup? In my lookup transformation, in my properties, in my lookup SQL override, I can just get only the relevant records. I can use where conditions and filter out the unwanted records here. so that it won't create the cache for those unwanted records. Okay, that will save the time for creating the cache, hence it will improve the performance. Condition operators first should be equals operator followed by other operator. Again, it is to just to discard the unwanted records only. If you are using in the condition section, we can use any of the operators, but always make sure you are going with the equal operators at the top, then with greater than, less than, or all those. So because at the top only I can filter out as many as records I can. So that will again improve the performance. It will reduce the records which will be created in the cache. Then use persistent cache wherever possible. So if I use the persistent cache, what happens? I need not to create the cache again and again. Once the cache will be created, my next lookup transformation will use the same cache. Instead of creating its own cache, it can use the previous cache which was created. So it will reduce the time. It will save the time for creating that new cache again. So we can use the persistence caches wherever possible. So these are the some tips for performance tuning for lookup transformation. Then router and filter. Numeric comparison is faster than character or string comparison in group or filtered condition. So assume like you have a data with country name and country code. Okay, country code it is like 1 2 3. For India it might be 1, for UK it might be 2, like that. And country name is a string, right? So it is always better to have numeric comparison. Okay, because it is faster than the string comparison. Okay, if I, instead of saying if country name equals to India, I can say if country code equals to 1. That will be more faster. That comparison, numeric comparison will be more faster. Okay, then in the expression transformation, use variable ports for repeated logic. Okay, avoid data type comparison. If it is really required, you have to do it. There is no other type, other way, but try to avoid it if it is not necessary. Then unchecking unnecessary ports which we don't use, no need to use them. Numeric comparison is faster, again same thing. Use operators, then functions, then use decode function instead of nested if. Instead of using the nested if, we can go for the decode function. Okay, these are the some of the performance tuning things we can follow for the transformations. Okay, so again they will be asking you on the aggregator, joiner, so they will say what all steps you will take to do the performance tuning. For the transformations, if they say, you can say these things. Okay, again, if you want to start with, you can say like, first thing is we have to identify the bottleneck, and how we can identify two ways. One through the session log, second through the RM, trial and error method, for target, source, and for the transform. But these things you can follow it while you do the development itself, so that you need not to add these things again. Okay, these are the best practices also. And what else? Yeah, last thing is you have to make sure tracing level is normal everywhere. The tracing level will be there, right? For each of the transformations also, tracing level. So this is how the logs will be created. If you give verbose initialization, verbose data, logs will be created for each of the records. So for testing purpose, you might have changed it to get the detailed log. If there are to debug something or data to debug some errors and all, you might have changed the tracing level to verbose data or verbose initialization to get the detailed session log. So make sure before moving it to the next level, so everywhere the tracing level is normal only. So if you make it verbose data, it will keep running. It will reduce the performance again. Okay, that is one thing. And these things we have already seen. Caches in Informatica, data cache and index cache we have. Okay, these are not relevant here. So we have created one image, right, for this. Just remove it here. Okay. Then apart from this, these are all at the mapping level, what I can do the performance tuning. Apart from this, we can do the tuning on the session level, but this is not really recommended. Okay, One thing is we can change the DTM buffer size. DTM stands for Data Transformation Manager. Where is it? In the session level, I can go to the properties, configure. Yeah, see, we have something called as DTM buffer size. Here it is auto. So what happens? One is DTM buffer size and default buffer block size. What is this DTM buffer size and all? So when we run the mapping integration service, by default it will assign some buffer size for the for processing the record. It will be auto. Okay. In case at the start of the session run, it will allocate this much of buffer size, some memory. Okay, to process the record. In case that memory is full, if I have selected it as auto, in during runtime only, it will allocate more memory to it. Okay, so that allocation might take some time. So in case the memory whatever was allocated at the beginning of the session is full during the session run, then it will auto allocate, extend that memory whatever was allocated, it will extend it again. But for that extension it might take some time. So they, what we can do, we can manually go and increase the DTM buffer size. So I can just go and say like 1000 MB or something. Okay, so I can say, but this is really not recommended. Okay, similarly I can change the default buffer block size also. So all the records will be processed in terms of blocks. So for that buffer block I can provide the size. Again it will be a auto, but in case if you really, okay, so DTM buffer size, the second one was default buffer block size. Even this can be changed. Where it will be? It will be in the config object default buffer block size. It will be auto. I can give any memory also here. I can manually provide the memory size here. So, but these are not recommended. As I told, in case whatever the default memory it is allocated, in case if it is full, it is completed fully, then during the runtime only integration service will allocate the memory again. For that it might take some time. So if you don't want to do that, you can give more memory size here, but it is not really recommended. That is one more option. Okay, this is at the session level. And the last two things are on the partitioning and push down optimization. So as I told, these two options are not available in our standard edition. Even these things will be used for performance tuning. So again, push down optimization, we don't use it really because it has its own limitations. Okay, but partitioning again we can use it. So what happens is when I extract the data from a source, where it went, 1 second. See, this was my log, right? It was saying created thread created for the partition point. What happens is I can create partitions for my work in my sessions mappings also. Same like in database partitioning, we can create partitions at my in my mapping also. When I create the map partitions, what happens? By default, integration service will create one partition for you. So for that one partition, we'll have one reader thread, writer thread, and transformation thread. Likewise, I can create multiple partitions. So if you create two partitions, then it will create two reader thread, two writer thread, and two transformation thread. So assume like anyway we will see this two features in Sunil's Informatica tool. Since it's a licensed one, we will have this feature in later, maybe at the end of the course and all. But as of now, to give you a background on partitioning, so assume I have mm, how many records? Okay, assume I have 1 million record. Okay, I have 1 million records in my source. Okay, when I was extracting the data, I got to know that this workflow was taking me, sorry, 60 minutes to extract the data and do some logic and all. So what I can do, I can create partitions now in my Informatica. Assume like I create 3 partitions. By default, it will be 1, so I add 2 more. Then what happens? These 3 million records, it will be extracted in part, like 33.3 million records will be extracted in first partition. Okay, then again the next 33.3 million records will be extracted in my second partition, and another 33.3 million will be extracted in my third partition. And most important thing is, these 3 things will run in parallel. So 3 reader thread will be created: thread 1, thread 2, and thread 3. So these three will run in parallel. So it will the first reader thread 1 will extract 33.3 million. At the same time, concurrently, reader thread 2 will also extract the remaining 33, and the thread 3 will extract the remaining 33.3 million records. And this extraction, it happens concurrently. So obviously it will improve my performance. Okay. Same wise, while loading the data also. While loading the data also, I can do that. If I have 1 million records, I want to load it. It was taking 60 minutes. Then I can make first to load the 33 million records in one writer thread, remaining 33 million records in another writer thread, and remaining 33 records in another writer thread. So then for for this case, I can create the partitioning at my source. Partitioning point I can create at my source level. For here, I can create a partitioning point at my target level. Same ways, I can create the partitions for my transformations also. Within the transformations, I can create the partition. So it will create whatever partitions are there. For those many partitions, it will create me those many transformation threads. So in Informatica, we can create max 64 partitions. Likewise, at max, we can create 64 partitions. So for each partition, it will create me 3 threads: reader, writer, and transformation thread. So if it is really required, if you really want to do some performance tuning, there is a issue with the performance and all, then only you can go for the partition. So what happens, if you create partitions, it will create you additional threads. So it will be a overload on your CPU and all. So if it is really required, then you can go and create the partitions, but not, it's not like we can create 64, so let's go and create 64 partitions. So you can just check based on your SLAs and how much time you want to reduce, how much tuning you have to perform. Based on that, those many partitions you can create. Okay. Again, we will be seeing those partitions, and these are the different partitions we have: pass through partition, key range, database, round robin, hash auto key, and hash user key. Okay. That is the partitioning thing. So we will be discussing this. Maybe post our course 1 week, we will set one weekend and we'll go through these things, because even Sunil has to go through his workflows and all. So one session we will take where I will explain you this partitioning, push down optimization, and we can go through that uh, we can go through the flow of the Sunil's project also. So one weekend we'll sit down and we'll cover all those things. And finally, the push down optimization, what it will do is, this entire mapping what we have, it can be converted into one SQL query, and that entire logic what we have in this mapping, it can be converted into a SQL query using this push down optimization. So then it will just create, the Informatica will try to create as much for all these transformations, whatever logic is there created in this Informatica. Instead of this, it will create you a SQL query, and that SQL query will be fired to the uh, database. So in such cases, I can go for, so it will improve the performance, but it has its own restriction. This optimization I can't create it for few transformation. If I use few transformations, I can't really go and create this, use this push down optimization and all. So again, this is not really used in real time also. Okay. So these two things will see it again. So this is about the performance tuning what we have. Okay. So any doubts here, let me know.